What's up, guys? How do you like the sweatshirt? I'm in a different room. My shelf is back, as you can see, in the background. Let me sit on the chair in the style of Jennifer Beals so that you can see the back of the shirt. Sweatshirt, so I'm happy to have this. Anyway, I think this video will be a short video. I know I say that every time. Today I'll review the entire Forgotten Gialli Volume 1 set that I picked up from Vinegar Syndrome, I think about a year ago. Might have been more. Pretty sure I got this on a sale. I know I did. There's 5 of these. Currently, right now, 3 of them are, 2 or 3 are listed for $39.99, and then the other 2 are $59.99. Okay, I mean, I would say if you're into Gialli, do some research, read about the films in the collection. Unless you're just an insane collector, you want to get all 5, or you're that type of collector. You know, do some research first before you pull the trigger on these. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy these films. I'm just saying that I think for my time and money, I probably would have been better off watching some of the classics or the more well-known examples of the genre that I haven't seen yet. There's a number that I still haven't seen. You know, the Red Queen kills 9 times or 7 times, I forget. They use numbers a lot in these, and you know, never torture a duckling, and there's a few that I haven't seen, and some of that I'm not sure I've seen. You know, they seem familiar, but at any rate, I probably would be better off renting those on YouTube if they're not on Tubi or something like that, and then deciding whether or not I would like to have a physical copy. Not having said that, they've done a great job with these. You have some extras, you have some interviews, and you have commentary on these with film historians, and I'm sure that would be somewhat interesting to listen to. At any rate, these are Forgotten Gialli. So if you're just getting into Gialli films, you know, I would try some of the more well-known examples. Anyway, let's go over these. Kind of an unusual set in that one of them is Italian, the other 2 are Spanish. So I don't know what's the plural of yellow in Spanish? I don't. The other 2 are Amarillo films, I guess you would say, right? And all 3 of them involve people staying at hotels or inns, and then getting murdered. Whether they were invited or they just randomly stumbled upon it and booked a room. All 3 of them take place in the countryside. The first one I watched a while ago, it's called The Police Are Blundering Around in the Dark. Now this one was one that was, the producers meddled with the title. You know, a lot of these films have fantastic titles. The producers wanted to take advantage of a police procedural sort of craze that was going on in Italian cinema at the time, so that's why they put the police in the title. The police do not get involved until the very end, till the end. So it's perhaps not what you think it's going to be based on the title, and it's pretty good. It's a strange one. It's a really strange one. There's an actually like a sci-fi twist that's introduced in the film. Basically, you have a boyfriend of a murdered woman who shows up at this place, this house, and he's kind of investigating because a few people have disappeared, and they were being photographed by this well-known photographer before they disappeared, and there's a sci-fi twist in there involving that, and I won't say any more. I mean, it was okay. It's been a while since I've seen that one, so I don't really remember the kills that much, to be honest with you. Overall, it's not a very memorable film. Okay, the next one, the other 2 I watched this weekend. Okay, killer is one of 13. Okay, and I was reading. There's another one with the number 9 in the title, which also seems to be like an Agatha Christie inspired giallo, just like this one. Basically, a woman invites 13 people to her hotel, and they all have some connection to her husband, who has been murdered. It is thought that he just simply died on a plane trip, in a private plane, but she has evidence that he was drugged, so he was intentionally murdered. And you know, some of them have had affairs and different relationships with her husband that were kept secret, and there's also an artist involved, an actor I kind of recognized, because this is a Spanish one. This is one of the Spanish ones. Actor I kind of recognized, and I'll put his name on the screen, but it turns out he was one of the priests in Conan the Barbarian, and then I started thinking about it. That was filmed in Spain, so that kind of makes sense. But you know, there's an artist there who has gotten arrested for selling forgeries of paintings, or has had trouble with selling forgeries of paintings. One of the guys is this supposedly handsome young guy. He's making the moves on everybody. And then there's also the staff. There's 3 staff members. So there's a total of 16 people in here. So it's almost like hard to keep track. Even though one of the women is a redhead, and one is a blonde. And then you have the hostess, who has a distinct look about her. Then you have a couple brunettes, and I swear, you know, it wasn't that hard to follow, but I was like, wait, which one is this now? Is she married to the guy, or is this the single one? Like, there's a lot of people in this, is what I'm saying. And then, you know, the staff, the hotel, or her staff, they all have significant roles as it goes on. It was okay. It was pretty good. I think that the description says, you know, they arrive and then soon they start getting killed with a straight razor. It's not very soon, actually. It takes a while. But when it does happen, there's a couple in a row. Boom, boom, boom. I mean, and then, you know, it's a mystery. It's who has the motive to do it, and there's some twists, and it's okay. It's pretty, you know, it's not horrible. It's pretty good. Music's choice is odd. It's strange, like kind of upbeat music. It's weird. And even if you were picking like one of the lesser ones, like one of these sets has a film with a soundtrack by Morricone. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, do some research first if you're interested in sampling one of these. Pick out films that you know that may have an interest for you. And then the last one was the sleaziest one for sure, the most nudity. Trauma, not to be confused with Trauma, not to be confused with any other films by that name. It is, I forget the year, but if you when you look this up, you really have to make sure you got the right one and look at the year. There's an Argento one. This is not it. This is another Spanish one, and basically you have a writer who is trying to get some work done. He needs some space from his wife, so he basically becomes a guest at this inn run by an extremely attractive woman. There's some pretty ladies in this film. Pretty ladies, and you see a lot of them in this movie. Okay, there's a lot of skin in this one. I mean, but this lady is extremely pretty. She has a husband, supposedly upstairs, who does not come out. Later, she reveals to the writer, who she sort of becomes close to, that he's like an invalid. So, and you have a few other guests that show up, some young backpackers. There's a guy who's out for a weekend jaunt with a prostitute. Another very attractive woman. Their car breaks down, so you have guests / victims. The guests are always also victims in these films. And I can't believe I'm at 10 minutes. I really thought this was going to be a short one. And I'm almost done. It's a dark and stormy morning here, so I thought I'd take advantage of the atmosphere and get this out there. And this one's not hard to figure out. This is very derivative of, I'm just going to say it, it's a little bit of derivative of Psycho. among other things. Like I said, lots of sex, lots of nudity. There's the killings are usually with a straight razor, and they're kind of in slow motion. You see the razor, and it's like, shh, and then it's like and then one cut, and then another one, and then another one. Now, just let me mention in the other film, the 13 movies, The Killer's one of 13. There was one kill with an axe, which was pretty impressive. It kind of came out of nowhere. There's a lot of jabbing with pokers, and I think there were some straight razors, and there's also a few things that are made to look like accidents. But there was one unexpected, like, axe to the head scene, which it was quick, but it looked pretty good. But in this one, it's like slow motion, stunt razor. What do you call those with the blood? And of course the blood in this case, in a lot of these films, it looks like red paint. So this is more of a lurid, kind of sleazy film, above anything else. I still enjoyed it. I mean, it was okay. It was kind of fun to watch. Better soundtrack. In this one, the soundtrack kind of worked, if not being very memorable. So anyway, like I said, if you're a huge Giallo fan, you might want to check out one of these. But I would do some research, maybe if you're getting into it. Watch some other ones first, maybe. I mean, it's kind of hard to start with some of the Argento ones and start at the famous ones and then work your way down, because you're going to be mildly disappointed. But if you're a huge fan and you can watch films and in more of a clinical way, if you're interested in seeing lesser known films and picking up little bits and pieces, then maybe one of these is for you. Do some research, is what I'm saying, before you spend the money. Okay. Thanks a lot, guys. This one, by the way, is volume 1. Yeah, I started with volume 1. So for me, it was just a random shot in the dark. Looking at some of the other volumes, they all seem to have great cover art. One of them has an eyeball in the middle of a spider web. I think that's volume 5. It looks cool as hell. But yeah, looking at the other collections, I probably would have, based on the descriptions, picked another one of the 3 film collections. Alright guys, there you go. Forgotten Gialli, Volume 1. Have you seen any of these? I'd be surprised if you had. Let me ask this then. What are some of your favorite Giallo movies? Famous or otherwise? What would you recommend? I see most of the Argento ones and some of the more famous ones. Bava, some of those. But what would you recommend as a favorite of yours? Okay. Thanks a lot, guys. Later.